I'm back with another video, and we're going to talk about why Nintendo is not going to get third-party support. And people who keep on thinking that, with each new console, the excuses have been gotten rid of. Just put it out of your mind because it's not going to happen. So, with that being said, let's get to it after the cut. So, before we get started, let's talk about why you're not going to see any quality third-party titles on a Nintendo console. Third parties have built an audience on the two third-party consoles, or should I say three third-party consoles, one of which is just a platform, not a console. PC, Sony, Xbox. That's where they've built their audience. They're not going to somehow mystically, through some mysterious alchemy, put their time, effort, energy into other things, if you will. And I mean, that's just the way it is. They're not. They don't want to. They have no incentive to build a new audience on a Nintendo platform at this point in time. So, essentially speaking, what we're seeing now from third parties is this wait and see approach. And I mean, like during the 7th gen, Nintendo had, some really awesome games. And during the 7th gen, Nintendo had one of the most, the highest commanding system seller lead over the other two consoles for like 3 or 4 years with the Wii. The Wii still mostly got from third parties, shitty, half-assed third-party games. Yeah, occasionally you'd get something that was decent, but usually it was just some bullshit. And I mean, that's just the way it was. The Wii U got a whole bunch of ports that were 2 or 3 years after the date. With some of them were good ports, most of them were half-assed and shoddy at best. So, I mean, what's the best way we can categorize the third-party support Nintendo has been getting since the 7th gen? Separate and not equal. Kind of like segregation, no? So, with that being said, let's talk about what that means for us as Nintendo gamers after the cut. Okay then, so let's get started with why, when you hear people say to Nintendo gamers, hey, you need to, you need to buy third-party games in order to get their support. It should be offensive to people who are Nintendo gamers. And I'll tell you why, okay? Oddly enough, this commercial prospect mirrors a period of history in American history. During the Civil Rights Movement, when there was the segregation versus integration issue. So, allow me to draw you the parallel, okay? During the 50s and 60s, well, before the 50s, but that's when the Civil Rights Movement really began to take off during the 50s and 60s. Basically, what you saw was people of color essentially fighting so that there would be parity between their goods and services offered in public and mass transit and commercial endeavors, and the facilities between those who are white. Now, we're seeing something similar now, and I know what some people are going to say. No, they're different. No, hear me out, okay? If you're a Nintendo gamer, Basically, if you get a product from a third party, the products are very eerily, how third parties treat Nintendo gamers and how people were treated, during the civil rights era is eerily similar. The parallel cannot be denied, and I'll draw it out for you, okay? If we get a game from a third party on a Nintendo system, it's normally some bullshit. It's half-assed, it's less than. And third parties will say, well, we gave you the same thing. No, you didn't. You didn't provide the same service as someone else. You literally gave us a half-assed version of something else. Now, I don't really care either way. I really don't. But, I mean, you can't deny that that's what's been going on, okay? We've seen this from, basically from, I want to say, the 6th gen up, generally speaking. And, I mean, the most notable examples, happened during the 7th gen. Mass Effect. The special edition, with literally everything was fucking missing from that game. Like, every goddamn thing. And then you get something like like Injustice, Gods Among Us on the Switch, which literally had nothing compared to anything else that was going down. That's the shit we were dealing with. And yet, no one is really saying anything about it. No one's really saying anything about, well, this is fucked up. And as a matter of fact, we get people saying, well, you need to buy those games so you'll get support in the future. Now, when people say this, it's the equivalent of back in the civil rights movement when people were doing their sit-ins and boycotts and stuff like that. Oh, well, Mr. MacArthur, who owns the diner, who basically will accept your money, but will basically give you the same product, but you better not fucking be sitting at his lunch counter. You should go in there and support his business because you're hungry. It's like, so I should accept bullshit on the off chance that one day someone might treat me a little bit better. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard before in my life. That is literally dumb as shit, okay? That hurts my ears, okay? And we have people who say that now. Hey, we need to buy this half-assed version of a Nintendo game because, third parties won't support us. I don't give a fuck if third parties won't support us. Especially if their support are these half-assed, half-done games. That is offensive, okay? And for someone to say that and act like getting half-assed games is a good thing, you, sir, are a fucking idiot, okay? That's stupid, okay? And it's offensive to the audience that is on that platform. Now, you'll see people say, well, buy the third parties. Look, as a Nintendo gamer, I have multiple platforms at this point that I can game on. I have PC, which is the ultimate third party platform because almost like 95% of games are also on PC. Plus, there's some exclusive genres that are almost exclusively on PC. So, if that's the way things are, why the hell would I get your shit? That's the thing people don't understand. If you're not going to treat my platform of choice with respect, if you're not going to respect my money, then why should I spend my money with you? And that's what people tend to forget. you'll hear the third-party apologists. Well, if you want third-party games, you just got to accept it. No, I don't. Okay, I don't need to accept bullshit. I don't need to accept people trying to sell me games that are broken, busted, glitchy, just distraught messes at full price. Like, I mean, it's one thing. Okay, if you're selling me a game that you know has issues, but you're selling it to me at a reduced price, I can't get that mad because it's reduced. I mean, it's not that expensive. But if you're selling me some shit that's fucking, um, 60, 70, $80 once all is said and done. Season passes and DLC and all that shit. Plus, okay, and you have the nerve to charge me that much money for an incomplete product. And then on top of that, the system that I prefer to game on, console I prefer to game on aside from PC, and you're gonna fucking come up to me and say, oh well, yeah, we're gonna give you the inferior version of the game, and you just better accept it. And then when people don't buy that inferior version of that game, you have the audacity to get mad at them, to literally punish people for not buying your shoddy products. That's like someone saying during the civil rights movement, how dare you not ride on our bus? Well, why should I? I mean, you're going to make me sit in the back. If I'm going to give up my seat if a white person comes up here. And even if a white person doesn't come up here, I'm going to have to deal with the bullshit. You're going to make me sit in the back, but you're going to blame me for not wanting to be treated like shit because of your own hangups. And I mean, I've said this before, but I own multiple consoles. I'm not someone who just owns one goddamn console. I own multiple consoles. Okay? I owned multiple consoles during the 7th gen. I owned multiple consoles 6th gen. At one point, I owned all of the 5th gen consoles. I own all of the 4th gen consoles except for the Neo Geo because that shit was $800 at the time, and fuck that. I own all of the 3rd gen consoles. I own all of the 2nd gen consoles of note. I mean, I've always been a multi-console owner. I wasn't that much into PC gaming because PCs were way too goddamn expensive back in the day. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that I tried. I really did try. But if you're going to sell me products that are half-assed, barely complete, and then on my console of choice, you're gonna fucking sell me products that are clearly inferior to what you're offering other audiences who are paying the same price or less in some cases. No deal. No goddamn deal. Not only is there no deal, but you can kiss my black ass. Okay? Um, and yes, I mean that. This goes for EA, Ubisoft, Activision, other third parties. If you're not going to put the effort in for the Nintendo system, or you put the effort in, but what you wind up giving people is some shit. Why should I buy your game? What possible reason should I have to buy your game? That's really, really stupid. But whatever. Let's move on to the next section after the cut. So, I guess it's time to talk about a solution to this console segregation, if you will, if you're a Nintendo gamer. And I guess the best way to put it is, I mean, some people will say the solution is that, well, you need to support these third parties so then they'll give us more games. I gotta disagree with that assertion. I think that's the wrong thing to do. You're basically rewarding bad behavior. It's the equivalent of back during the, civil rights movement, people saying, well, this person is basically this business is basically won't serve us because the color of our skin, and they just don't like us. Well, I mean, or when they do serve us, the end result is some half-ass bullshit. Well, we need to support them because the off chance one day they might do us, we need to give them an incentive to serve us by giving them our money. That is really fucking stupid. Obviously, the best way to keep these people from doing this is to, well, don't buy their games. Boycott their games, okay? Don't buy their games, period, on anything. Like I said, I'm a console gamer. Um, I play games on multiple consoles. Um, when I've had multiple consoles. Now, my only my 8th gen consoles were Wii U. I'm getting a PS4 this Black Friday. I mean, I have a decent amount of games for my Wii U. Not a lot of third-party games because most of the games for the Wii U were half-assed or there wasn't parity. For example, even when people say, "Well, this is a good version of the game," like what was that title, if I remember correctly? Deus Ex Human Revolution. That game on every other console is like $20. You know how much they charge Nintendo gamers? $39.99 in Europe. In America, it was $49.99. So basically, if you had this game and you were a Nintendo gamer, you were paying over 100% more than the other consoles. And Square Enix has the nerve to say this game was a sales disappointment. Yeah, you're fucking charging us $50. You're charging us 100% more for a game that's been out for 2 goddamn years. That you ported over to a system that's easy to port to. Now, $39.99 I could understand. $39.99 I could say, well, they want to recoup some of the costs. It's $20 on everything else. And if you had it on PC, it was goddamn free. Okay? And yet, they wonder why their games don't sell well. So then, the only way we can learn, they can learn, is if you don't give them money. That means you don't buy EA games on anything. You don't buy, if 2K doesn't put forth an effort to put a 2K game on the system, you don't buy 2K games on anything. I know this is hard for some multi-console owners because they want a game because they're like fucking drug addicts and they have to have things day one. You don't buy them day one. You wait till they go on sale or you don't get them at all. For example, I haven't bought an EA game from one of their, annual franchises in years. I haven't bought here are the EA games I've bought over the last few years, okay? And, before I say any of this, I'm gonna let you know a little secret. I'm a SimCity fan. I love The Sims. I'm a Dragon Age fanboy. But here are the games I've bought from EA over the last few years. Dragon Age, Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect Andromeda, Mass Effect 3, which I bought and then returned after I beat it because I was like, fuck this game. You notice what's missing from there? Madden's, FIFA's, and anything else from EA. Okay? And you want to know why I didn't buy these games? Because EA didn't give us a decent version of these titles for these consoles on my console of choice. And you know, if you're going to disrespect my purchasing power, then I'm not going to buy your product. You know, if you're not going to give me decent support as a consumer, then I'm not going to buy your product. It's very simple. I know some people are going to get mad when I say that. Oh, how dare you? How dare you? But it's very simple. So that brings me to what can you do as a gamer to deal with these types of issues? Well, you could buy games you can buy games when they're on sale. For example, the Steam sale is on. I'm getting a whole bunch of games, and I'm not paying full price for them. And I love that. I love the fact that there's Steam sales. I love that I don't have to spend, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars on this shit over and over and over again. I'm okay with that. You can get these games on sale, or you can just not buy them, or find alternatives. For example, GTA 5, I bought that game years ago on sale for like $30. And GTA 5 is an okay game, but let's keep it real. It's not the best open world game that's come out over the last few gens. I would say Saints Row 4 was a better open world game than GTA 5, because Saints Row 4 is fun. GTA 5, not really. Not really fun. So with that being said, what can you do as a gamer to deal with this issue? Well, I mean, our only real thing you can do is just not buy these games. At least not day one. Let the prices go down, and then get the games. But don't buy them day one, because fuck these people. With that being said, I guess this is the end of this video. Stay tuned for the posts for the end. We'll all go over future updates. Alright, so this is just the future stuff that's coming up. I have a couple of more videos coming out this week, and stay tuned for Sunday, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll have another episode of BS Busters Fun Day Cast, where we'll be talking about, well, the news of the gaming week. Also, this one is not going to focus so much on games, but we'll also focus on video game movies, because that aren't based on video games. It's going to be a fun one. Stay tuned this Sunday.